Hello everyone, welcome back to another design episode. In this second episode, we're going to design a storytelling app for kids. And first, we're going to understand what children need and using good design principle to make the app simple and playful. We will find inspiration with ideogram AI and create images with Midjourney and then choosing the right font and bright color to make the app more fun. And next, we're going to focus on clear layout, white spacing, and custom shape to keep the design clean and easy to use. And finally, we're going to make sure that the app works well on all screen sizes. So let's get started. Typography plays a huge role in designing kid-friendly interface. The right font choice can make the interface playful, engaging, and easy to read. And the wrong one can lead to frustration and confusion. Children process visual information differently than adults. So selecting the right font is essential for creating a UI that is fun, readable, accessible. For kids, fonts matter just as much as color and layout. Unlike adults, they recognize text visually before reading. Their developing brains rely on pattern. So the way text look affect how they engage with it. A good font for kids should have three main qualities. First, it should be easy to read with clear letter and in-out space so they don't blend together. Secondly, it should be fun but simple, playful without being too fancy. And last, it should be comfortable for young reader, avoiding thin line and complicated letter shape that are hard to read. So the right font make reading easy and fun, keeping kids interesting while helping them move to the app smoothly. The best fonts for young reader are bold and round. Why? Because they have big, easy to recognize letters. Their thick stroke make them stand out clearly on the screen. And most importantly, they have soft, round edge that feel friendly and fun and perfect for a kid apps. For this design, we're going to use Quicksand because it's modern, smooth, and work well for adding and body text. Other great options include Baloo, which is bold, bouncy, and full of personality, and Notito, which have a soft, round feel. Comic Nu, it's a fun, casual font that it's easy to read too. And Fridoka one is super round and playful. And finally, Popping is clean, modern, and highly readable. Decorative fun add character and energy to a kid app, but they should only be used for heading and title, not for body text. These fonts work great for logo, section title, and call to action button because they grab attention and make the UI more exciting. But if we use them too much, they can become distracting and difficult to read, especially in smaller text. That's why it's important to balance playful fun with clear, readable one. Let's start with the first card. It will be a category card, so forget the traditional menu. A menu with image is easier for kids. So we have created several versions of the desktop app. So let me show you. So you can see that it's hard for kids to navigate to category properly. Imagine a 4 years old child who cannot read but love listening to story online. So they will not know where to look for printed story, by example. But with image category, it's much easier for them to know where to click. Good, so let's start with the first tag, otherwise we will never move forward. Okay, press T and type the title. I will use Enter font for now, and we will try the font that I recommend later, okay? So for the font size, set it to 22 and bold. Make sure to resize the text frame to auto width. Then duplicate the text, or you can press T again. And set the font size to 14 and regular. Type a short description of the category. Remember the first design episode? I talked about line height and letter spacing. Do you remember the general rule? Let's take the title. So you can see that the text frame is too small to fit all the text. So the formula is 32 times 1.2 equal 38.4. But we have to round the number. So you can choose 38 or 14. I will go with 40. Alright, let's set the letter spacing. The general rule for letter spacing for large text like title and heading is -2% of the font size. So the formula will be 22 times minus 0.02 equal minus 0.64. So you can round it to minus 0.6 or minus 1 depending on what's worked best visually. For small text from 12 to 16, it's better to use a line height of 1.4 times to improve readability, so you can round it to 20. For body text, which is smaller text, the letter spacing is 0%. This means there is no change to the letter spacing, so it should be set to 0. You will use the image that you generate on Midjourney or the one I provide in the asset section of my page. Then, create a frame with a size of 320 by 168. And place the image in the frame and make sure it's clipped. Next, we're going to put the two text elements into auto layout with 8 spacing between them. After that, select the text box and the image frame and put them in another auto layout. Use Ignore Layout to place the text box on top of the image frame. I don't want to put the text inside the image frame because I want to make the card adaptive by using Auto Layout. For padding and spacing, in the first design episode, I talked about the rule of 8 or 10. Again, you have to decide which one to use. As always, I will stick with 8. I will position my text 16 from the top and 16 from the left, and the spacing between the two text elements will be 8, and this way everything stays consistent. However, I realized that my sister prefers to use 10. Now, it's time to choose the fonts. I recommend creating a font pairing for better contrast. So let's try Quicksand. For the title, to have better contrast, you can add drop shadow. And And for the body text, you can keep enter, but I want something more round. Kickstand worked well for body text too, but to make it more interesting, I prefer using a different font for contrast. I also like popping, but I'm not sure yet. Yeah, as a designer, you always want the best choice. So you have a lot of options. You don't need to stick with my choice. So, like I said, I will stick with quicksand for the title. Another interesting option is the SF Compact Round. Hmm, I'm hesitating between the SF Compact Round and Popping. What do you think? So I let you decide which one do you want. So I recommend stick with quicksand for title and body text or choose another font that is round. So I'm gonna choose the SF Compact Round. If you want to use the same font like me, and make sure to download the SF Compact. Okay, now let's jump into the next section. In this section, we're going to explore how to create a color palette that is perfect for kid design. Kids respond best to bright, playful, and engaging color, so we will focus on choosing colors that are fun, high contrast, and visually stimulating. One of the best inspiration for a kid-friendly color palette is the rainbow. So the rainbow consists of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But instead of using all 7 colors at once, we will look at how to create harmonious combination. Take this cool card as an example. You can see that the current color palette is a bit boring. So I did accent color exclusively for the button because they are the primary interactive element I want to highlight. My goal is to make them stand out and feel fun and engaging for kids. To make this design more interesting, I want to use 2 accent color for the 2 button here. So let's try with a blue color. So we're going to choose the color code after. Let's select a blue color. Blue is calm and cool color. It makes people feel peaceful, focused, and safe. Green feels fresh, healthy, and full of life. It's a relaxing color that reminds people of nature. Blue and green fit well together. They are analogous color, which means they sit next to each other on the color wheel. They look calm and natural together, creating a smooth and balanced design. This combination is great for learning app or nature theme design. Orange is warm, bright, and full of energy. It's a fun color that grabs attention and makes people feel excited. It's perfect for button or area you want people to notice, so especially in kid designs. Orange and blue are complementary color, which means they are opposite on the color wheel. This creates a strong contrast that makes elements stand out. These colors work well in kid design because they look fun, bright, and full of energy. Let's talk about the other color. Yellow is bright, cheerful, and happy. It makes people feel positive and full of energy. Yellow go well with green and orange because they are next to each other on the color wheel. They create a warm, fresh, and energy look, which is great, but I don't really like this combination. And purple is a unique color that combines the calm of the blue and the energy or red. It can feel creative, playful, and even magical, making it a great choice for kid design. And also, this is my favorite color, and I think that you know it because if you see all my design, I add a lot of this color. So, I very like the strong contrast between blue and orange, but I also like violet. Now that I have decided on my color palette, where can I find the X code? I like to use this tool called color.co to check contrast between the background and the text color, but it's also a great tool for finding color inspiration if you're not sure which color to choose. It helps you explore different palette and discover new color combination easily, and also to look at the gradient to have good inspiration. So much beautiful gradient color. So simply over to the color and you will see the X color code. Simply click on it and it will copy. So this is the color palette that I choose. So in the next section, I'm going to show you how to create color variable. In this section, we will create color variable and mode and learn more about this topic. A color variable is a reusable color that you can define once and apply throughout your design. This makes it easy to update color across your project without manually changing each element. So I did not set variable in this Figma file, but I did for this one. So I'm just going to show you how to create it. So once you unselect everything on the canvas, you will see local variable. So open it. So you let me put it more bigger. So you will see this panel. Click on create variable. So you have a lot of options. The first I'm gonna show you is the color. Okay. So I like to use color variable to create my design so I can turn it easily into dark mode and light mode. So let's start with so the first collection you can rename it. Okay, so the first we can add the color for the text by example. So you have to rename it so you can find it easily. So you can use text color or foreground color. Foreground color. And then slash is gonna be the group primary. Okay, white, let's say. Enter. Okay. So if I want to add a mode, just click on the plus here. And mode allow you to create different versions of a color variable for different themes, such as light mode and dark mode. This means that instead of defining separate color for each theme, you can link them to a single variable and switch between modes easily. So this mode is gonna be dark, and here light. So I'm gonna set it to dark, to black for the light mode. Let's duplicate, change to secondary. And I like to use the same color, but I like to reduce the opacity to, let's say, 70. Let's do the same thing. Okay. And tertiary, it's gonna be more subtotal. Okay, so I have my color for my text. We will temporarily add a background color. You can choose dark purple, dark blue, or dark green. What I like about variable is that if I change my mind about a color, I don't have to update each element manually one by one. Instead, I can modify the variable and then the change will automatically apply to all linked elements. For the light version, I will keep it white. Now it's time to add the accent color. For the button, I will use gradient. So each color tone I have chosen will have two shades. In light mode, we will start with the same color and we're going to adjust them as we progress with the design. Now let's go back to where we left off. So we need an image. You can choose image from my asset page or you can generate a new one in Midjourney and copy the text box from the first card that we create together. And then we're going to create the button component. I don't want my button to be flat, so I want a 3D effect. Okay, so press on T and type read using SF compact round, bold, and uppercase. The size we're going to set 16. Now we're going to add icon next to the text. And change the color. We're gonna scroll down the icon to 18 instead. Select the text and the icon inside a auto layout. Set 8 for the spacing between them and set 16 for the horizontal padding and 8 for vertical padding. Now let's jump into the next section, which we're going to create the button. Now we're going to create a button using the neumorphism style. This style gives a slight 3D look, making it feel like the button is popping out of the background. And to achieve this effect, we will use inner and drop shadow. Let's start with the popping out effect. So we're going to use a radial gradient. A radial gradient is one color blend in our circular pattern starting from the center and fading out to the edge. So it's like a light shining in the middle and getting darker as it moves outward. So this creates a round 3D look for the button. So we will use lighter blue at the center and the darker blue around the edge. Use the handle to control the gradient and drag it outside to make the lighter color cover more area. So it's going to create a softer and more gradual transition. And around the corner, we can add a drop shadow for the text and place the button inside another auto layout. So now you have two containers. So the inner one is the button that popping off the background and the main container will become the background. And to create the illusion that the background is slightly pressed in, let's round the corner. Okay, add stroke using black color at 50%. And the outer container will act like the background. And to create the illusion that the background is slightly pressed in, we will use inner shadow. To create depth, Now let's set the blur to 6 and this makes the shadow soft and smooth. And we will keep 0 for the position so the shadows stay even around the edge, making the background look slightly pushed in. For the next step, we're going to use the color black with overlay. And the black creates a strong shadow. Using overlay, blend it softly with the backgrounds. Select back the button and side and add stroke using the color black at 50% and use overlay. I like to use overlay so it can blend with the color background. Let's add effect. Add inner shadow is going to be the highlight. It's going to add dimension. And I'm going to choose the color white. So I want my inner shadow to be at the bottom. So set -2 to the Y position. The Y value determine the shadow move up or down, and negative move the shadow to the bottom and positive move it to the top. And for the blur, set it to 2, and if you set the number higher, the more the blue value will make the shadow softer and more blurry, but 2 keep it slightly blue but still visible. Okay, so we use white color at 50% opacity with overlay blend mode. So this choice simplifies the design process because we have so many accent color, and picking a unique shadow for each color one will take too much time. So by using white with overlay, the shadow blend naturally with all the color. Okay, so we're gonna add inner shadow at the top. It's going to be the highlight. So this time it's going to be positive. And we're gonna increase the opacity. It's gonna be 60. And now rename your layer. Select the parent container and set the padding to 4. And now let's talk about the rule of corner radius. I should have covered this topic earlier, but I completely forgot and assume you might already know. However, I realized I need to consider beginner as well. So here is a sample rule that I want you to remember. When you have 2 elements with corner, using the same number for inner and outer corner, by example 10, doesn't always work. It's not elegant. Start by decide which corner to set first, either the outer or the inner. For example, let's say you want the outer corner to be 20. Next, check the padding between the inner and outer. For us, the padding is 4. So the formula is very simple. Outer corner minus padding equal inner corner, which is 20 minus 4 equal 16. This way your design will look more balanced and visually pleasing. Okay, so I'm gonna create a component, but I already covered this topic in the first design episode, so I'm not going to go deeper about this. So component is very important because I can use the same button for different purpose, and of course add property so I can hide and show element. Okay, so you can see that something is wrong, like the too much space on one side. Just fix it and set the frame to hard content. And now I'm gonna create a variant for each color, so I can choose easily between the 3 accent color for my button. So if I want blue, orange, purple, I can simply use it easily. Now copy this and stand. And copy another one but this time I only want to have the icon. Okay, now let's change the size. And I'm gonna change the option to orange. So I'm gonna group the two buttons together and another layout, and then group the text box and the button and another container, and then assembling everything together to create just one layout. Okay, we're going to remove the spacing. Instead, we're gonna add padding for the content container instead. We're gonna set to 16 for the padding. Okay, so I want to have the same height of the photo for my container, so I'm going to change that to 200. And now we're going to set the spacing to auto. Okay, so I'm going to increase the size of the width to 180 and make sure that all the element it's well structured. And now I can add the color. So I'm going to use primary for the top and secondary for the bottom, and the container collection of the variable color, and round the corner. Also round the corner for the image. Okay, so select the image. I'm gonna create a shadow here, so it's gonna make the illusion that the photo it's floating, you know, it's like it's behind, like the content is behind and the image is in front. Okay, I'm gonna set to X value to, I don't know, let's say 4, and the blur increase it, I don't know what, 10. Select the first button and hide the icon, and for the spacing between the two icons we're gonna set to auto and make sure that the container is filled. Okay, so now let's jump into the next section. In this section, we're going to finish all the card we need for this design. Then we're going to create components for each one and add property, just like in episode 1. I'm not going to go too deep into this topic because I already covered this. You can watch the episode 1 in component section. I'm going to duplicate the card. I want to create an illusion that the book is floating, and to do that, select the image. I want to be able to place this image anywhere I want, so I will enable in our layout. Okay, and you will notice that the layout look broken, so that's okay, don't panic, we will fix it in no time. And so I'm gonna set the main frame, and I'm gonna set the width to 330 like this, and we have to align the child container to align right like this. I'm gonna select back the image, and I'm going to place the image slightly at the top to 10 pixels up like this. Oops, like this. So you can see that the image appearing crop, and to fix this, I will disable. I will click back to the main container. I'm going to unclip. So it's gonna look like this. Now we're going to create the layout for the book. We will take the same card, duplicate it, and then we're going to delete the element inside except for the image. And next, we will change the frame width to 150. Select back the image again, and we're going to move it slightly to the left by 10 pixels. And voila. So let me show you an example. So this is what it will look when we will create the app structure. Alright, we are done with the cards. Now it's time to create components for each one and add property. And this makes things easier because we don't have to create everything from scratch again. And by using component with property, we can quickly change things like color, text without redoing the whole design, the whole design. It also keeps everything consistent and save us time. To make the process easier, I'm going to place the images in a component set. This will allow us to quickly switch images and or card without manually replacing them each time. So by doing this, we can keep everything organized and make adjustments faster. We're going to reorganize the card and rename them to make things clearer. So the first card will be for the category. The second and third card will be story card. One will be flat and the other will have a floating effect. And the last card will be for book card. Okay, so let's start with the first card. We will turn it into a component, then select the title and add property. So this will allow us to easily change the text without modifying the original design. So select the description and do the same thing. And make sure to name your property clearly so you don't get lost later. Make sure to name title and description. I'm going to do the same for the images used in the category. I will speed up this part so you don't need to do this step yourself, because when I provide this Figma file, you will already have access to these components. Of course, make sure to properly name your component to keep everything organized. Then replace the image with the image component. Once you have replaced the image, go back to property and add another property, nested instances. This feature allows you to swap component inside another component without detaching them. Next, repeat the same process for the other card. The two buttons have the same name, which causes a problem because Figma won't recognize them as a separate button, so only one will appear in the property panel. And to fix this, we have to rename each button differently so you can control them separately. So the corner of my image are not round because we replace it with the image component, so that's why the corner are no longer round. And to fix this, we need to round the frame of the component. We will do that after creating the component. I will speed up this part so you can repeat the same process or skip this step and simply use the same component. And to make the process faster, I have added this source field, user profile container, and title section component for you. I have also arranged the component more organized. And honestly, I don't always organize them so well. To use the component from this file, simply go to the Asset panel and make sure to select the library create in this file. So here are my cards ready to use. Alright, so let's duplicate 3 more. Okay, let's do the same thing. And you can also access the asset panel from the left side. Okay, bring the card story with the floating image and the card book and duplicate. And the last card we're going to use is the card story. And then we're gonna add the search field and the user profile and place the title section between section except for the category. Okay, now we're gonna jump into the next section. In this section, we're going to talk about white spacing and how it helps create visual hierarchy in design. White spacing is the empty space between elements, and it helps make a design clear, organized, and easy to navigate. And when used correctly, it separates content, direct attention, and improve usability. Let's see how to apply it effectively. Okay, now we're gonna organize section by section. So let's start with the category. Make sure to have at least 4 cards for the category. You can add more, and we're gonna add them in a container. Make sure to rename it, and then we're gonna do the same thing for the book. So we're gonna talk about the spacing after. I just want to organize all the section before setting the spacing for each element. And make sure to set the title container to fill container. Voila. Okay, let's group the last section. Don't forget to fill container each child container. For the spacing between the title section and the content of the card, set to 24. However, with the floating card, you can visually see that the spacing look off once set to 24. I would like the spacing to start from the floating image instead, so I'm going to set it to 32 instead. Now the spacing between each card is going to be 24. And for the floating card, the floating image is going to be 32. Okay, now we're gonna assembling the search field and the user container together. And now select the 4 container, and we're going to place them into one single container. So we're going to set the padding to 32 and the spacing between each section is going to be 22. And we're gonna fill with a color background. We can decide later which color we're going to use. It's just temporary. Okay, so in the next section, we're going to continue what we did finish in this section. So let's jump into the next section. We're going to set a fixed width size, let's say 1160. The container stay the same size regardless of the screen size, and to make the layout adaptive, all the child container should be set to fill container. By setting child element to fill container, they automatically resides within the frame. So this ensures that if the layout is adjusted, the child element will adapt without breaking the design. Something about my color is bothering me. I'm going to add an overlay to make the container color blend better with the background, and repeat the same process with the two other cards. I will also add a stroke to the card container to create more contrast and make them stand out. All my colors are organized into categories so you won't get lost. So look in the border collection. Remember that I will often use linear gradient for the stroke. Place vertically with primary color at the top and secondary at the bottom. And again, we're gonna use overlay. And now select the header container that contains the search field and the user profile, and set it to fill container as well. So this ensures the header stretch to fit its parent frame and is going to be adaptive when resizing. And for the spacing, set to auto. So this allows the search field and user profile to adjust their position dynamically. But the problem is I want the search to be at the middle. And to do this, I have to create an invisible frame. Let's say I'm gonna create an invincible frame. I'm gonna call it spacer. I'm gonna place inside the header container. Let me rename it header. Just remove the color. I don't want to have the color. And make sure to set to auto. So it's supposed to be at the middle. We can look at the size. Is 215. Here we can set to, maybe it's too far, 24. I'm gonna set to 15. No, I'm gonna set to 8. Something's wrong. And hot content. Okay. Now the size is 198. I'm just going to set the same 198. So now you can make sure that the search is placed in the center. So white spacing is the empty space between elements. It helps organize content, making the design clear and easy to navigate. And for visual hierarchy, spacings separate section, highlight important element, and guide the user attention. And when used well, it makes the interface look clean and help user find what they need easily. And you can see that there is enough space between these sections. so the section is well organized. Did you notice any issue in the design? Yes, the cards are too close together, and one item in the same section don't have enough space. It's become harder to tell them apart, so kids might have trouble recognizing each book because there is no breathing room. So we're going to fix this by increasing the spacing between cards so each item stands out clearly. Did you see the difference? It's so much better. So now let's jump into the next section. To watch the full 1.5 hour episode, I invite you to subscribe on Design Code or become a premium member on YouTube. Thank you for watching this video. See you in episode 3. Bye!